What's up, everybody? So, today we need to talk about this. You see a lot of people in the community, and I think pretty much everyone's aware at this point that the typings in the community are horrifically inconsistent and inaccurate. If you look up the average celebrity, you could probably find a typing for almost every type there is in the book. Hell, even me on my channel, I've been accused of being every single type in the book. You name it, I've been accused of being that type. As you see this inconsistency, this lack of a standard, and there's various reasons for that. In simplest terms, because most people are really bad at typing. There's various reasons for that as well. Common problem I see isn't necessarily the method used, but it's the premises used. So let's say someone says, oh, this person's an ESTJ because of premise, because they're, I don't know, make something up, right? This person can't be SINE because SINE hates confrontation. I've heard someone say that exact thing. So the premise is false. A lot of the time, the premise is false. So what they have analyzed about the person is just not true. When you actually look at the person and examine their life history and other details, they don't fit the premise at all. So for whatever reason, most people are really bad at judging people. They judge people. They attribute traits to a person that are not accurate. And you know, people watching probably, most of you have probably experienced this. You know, a lot of people make false judgments about you. Maybe you feel misunderstood. It's a common human tendency. A lot of humans are really inaccurate in their judgments of others, certain types especially. So that's point number one. Oftentimes the premises alone are false. I would say at least 90% of the time I see someone being typed, the premises are really sloppily applied. They're false. Or they're it's more nuanced than that. They're not so black and white. I mean, there's various things. Secondly, take something like SINE doesn't like confrontation. Now, let's pick that apart for a second. What are you really saying? How many types are in the SINE spectrum? It's 8. There's 8. There's 8 types. That's half the types. So you just made a definitive statement. A definitive black and white statement about 8 different types. Every single one of these types doesn't like confrontation. Now, if you don't see why that would lead you to make inaccurate typings, then I can't help you. I mean, if you can't see something so basic, then you're beyond help. You might as well just unsubscribe from my channel and go watch someone who doesn't care about logic and facts and truth. Because you're not gonna get these lies and falsehoods from me. You're not gonna get this unnuanced typing, this inaccurate, fallacious typing from me. Okay, so you just made a statement about 8 different types. Not only that, it's false. So who's on the SINE spectrum? Well, the first one that comes to mind to me is ESTJs, as a type that has no problem with confrontation. I don't know if you've met an ESTJ before. They're actually, I would say, probably one of the most confrontational types. So, I mean, these theories that people... These definitive statements people throw out about the cognitive functions are just fallacious in and of themselves. And, people get on my case for criticizing the cognitive functions. It's not the cognitive functions that I criticize. It's the theory. It's a lot of the theory behind the cognitive functions that it just doesn't hold its weight, guys. It doesn't line up with reality, and this is why when people type by the cognitive functions, a lot of the time they're wrong, they're false, they mistype others, because your premises are false. You cannot make accurate judgments when your premises are false. So it's not cognitive functions that are a problem. There's a lot of false ideas about the cognitive functions. Okay, so when people come into in my comments section, they start throwing all these theories that they just made up. I think sometimes my SINE will get in the way of my TIFE, and I think sometimes at other times my SE polar will sometimes put a shade over my FI. It's just like, dude, it's almost like kind of insulting. It's like, why are you throwing out all this garbage in my comment section? Like, this is literally just like, it's just lies. Basically, all I see when people talk like that is lies. You're just lying. You're not saying anything truthful. It's like you're just throwing a bunch of garbage on my page. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but it's just like, you didn't state anything true. And the confidence you have in what you're saying, when it's just these theories pulled out of your head that aren't based on anything, it's irritating. So anyway, most people are really bad at typing, guys. It's one of the reasons the community is sort of seen as a joke from the outside. And I like typology. I don't want to just stop talking about it because of these irritating people. And it's funny because David Kiersey's son was interviewed several years ago, and he was talking about this, how you can't even talk about typology anymore because the cognitive function obsessed people have just taken over. I mean, it's all so cognitive function obsessed that there's nothing objective about it anymore. That's why it's become a joke. I sort of just illustrated that, how people misuse the cognitive functions and they make these further extrapolations, and it's an incomplete theory. It needs to be treated like it's still in research phase. It's not treated that way. When people talk about the letter dichotomy, they talk about T versus F, S versus N, they tend to make more tentative statements like S tends to be this way, N tends to be that way. That's not how people talk with the cognitive functions. They talk about them like they're just black and white facts. SE is like this. SENI is like this, and SINE is like this. It never tends to be. They see it as this like black and white mapping of how you should type someone. And it's really irresponsible, in my opinion. And not only that, the mere definitions that they try to use for the cognitive functions are fallacious in and of themselves. And this guy named Endless Curtis, I don't watch his channel, but I stumbled across one of his videos recently. He was talking about how it's been several years and he can't decide on a definition for SE. He's like, I'm going to switch to this system. I switched to this system for a while, but then I left their system because I didn't like their definition of SE. I'm still trying to figure out what the reason why you can't figure out a definition of SE is because you're trying to define it in one word. Like Socionics just calls it force. You're trying to define it in a couple words or just a line. You're trying to define a multifaceted concept that is basically just an abstraction for helping us understand personalities that isn't fully formulated yet, really. And not only that, the cognitive functions resemble something closer to adjectives than they do nouns. When Jung was talking about an introverted intuitive type, he wasn't talking about a function. He wasn't talking about this object he can manipulate and move around and be like, oh, it goes here and then, I can see exactly where it is in the person's psyche. He was talking about a set of personality traits. He was talking about something closer to an entire personality than he was just this one word or this one object. But you are trying to define it like it's this one object. And, this is why it breaks down. This is why it doesn't hold up. This is why people can't agree on typings. This is why there's no consistency in the type community. Because people can because the cognitive functions have been misapplied and misdefined or misidentified, I'm not using the right word, in this way, they break down. This is why it's so inaccurate to type by them. Now, can you type accurately by the functions? I think you can, yes. But I think most people don't. I think 99% of people do not, and which is why I tell people not to. And if you're going to type by the functions, it needs to be checked against reality. Simple as that. And this is why I think I'm a much more accurate typer than most people, is because I do this. I do this simple step of just checking against reality. So if you have all these crazy cognitive function theories for determining if someone's an INTJ, but they're a quintessential extrovert, that's reality. That is facts bringing you back to reality. And that means you need to go back to your typing methods and be like, okay, obviously I'm doing something wrong. If all your cognitive function theories, your crazy subjective arbitrary theories tell you that someone's an ESTJ because of SI and NE and because of the position of the polar and because of but someone's a quintessential N type, like let's say they're completely future oriented and they have no orientation towards the present moment at all. They're totally in their heads. Okay, then you did something wrong. That should tell you right there that the way you're using the cognitive functions to type people is fallacious. So anyway, guys, big rant. Sorry if I sound, kind of, rude or harsh. I've been told I can come off that way. It's just, I really want to bring back accurate typings, and not to sound like I'm this I don't even know the word for it. Like I'm the go-to guy in the whole type community. But I feel like I'm the only person I've seen that's typing people responsibly in this way. So I'm committed to giving people an accurate typing. If someone's willing to pay me money, their hard-earned money, to get a typing, I want to make sure it is accurate as humanly possible. I want to make sure it is in touch with reality as humanly possible and not based on my wild speculative theories that are not based on anything, which is, you see it all over the place. It's horrible. And the frustrating part is the most popular people are the worst offenders of this. And so if you ever criticize these people, you get a lot of hate for it, and you get a lot, which I don't mind hate, but it's just like being one of the smaller YouTubers, actually exposing the truth, it's kind of difficult to convince people. They're not as willing to listen to you because you're not as big, you're not as popular. And I made a post about this recently. The most popular ideas and theories tend to be the less accurate ones. And there's reasons for why this is. Really, what I think it comes down to is people just don't like truth because the truth hurts. Sometimes it's boring or less exciting. It's much more interesting to type someone by the cognitive functions, even though it's entirely inaccurate. But anyway, guys, long rant. If you want to get an accurate typing, you're going to have to come to me. Maybe there's other people, I don't know, but as far as I've seen, I haven't seen any. So accuse me of sounding arrogant, whatever. I haven't. I'm just stating a fact. It is a fact that I haven't seen anyone who types people accurately and responsibly. So anyway, end rant. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you being subscribed. Have a good day.